This is not a rant video. I wanted to come on here to share my experience of an item that has to go back in for repair, and I've often talked about quality control on my channel when it comes to some of these luxury goods, and I have always, I have a lot of pride in the fact that I am always going to be honest with you guys. I'm always going to be 100% transparent when it comes to the luxury goods. Just because something is expensive doesn't mean that it's always better. It will always outperform something else. Sometimes quality control can happen with any fashion house. It can happen with any type of item. It doesn't necessarily have to pertain to luxury goods. But I wanted to address it because I kind of briefly touched base on it on my Instagram a few days ago. I was extremely irritated. I was extremely disappointed. And my first initial post really reflected that. There were a lot of aspects that caused me to be as upset as I was. It wasn't so much as the fact that I was having an issue with the item that I had just purchased, but it had a lot to do with the customer service that I reached on the back half of it. And I think that's really what made me the angriest. Or not the angriest, just made me even more disappointed. So I went back, and after I reposted that, I had a lot of you guys reach out to me, and I had a ton of support. But before I get further into the video, and I feel kind of stupid making this because I feel that I should have caught it before I did an unboxing, but I didn't. It is what it is. Recently, you guys saw me do an unboxing on this item, which is the Louis Vuitton Mon Mono, the Mon Monogram Mini Pochette. I was super excited. I did the unboxing, like 2 days ago. I was stoked, grinning from ear to ear. And after I did the video, when I started to put my items inside, I noticed something different, something that was a little unusual. Well, needless to say, it has to go back to Paris because it needs to be repaired. Mind you, this item is brand spanking new. I never even got the chance to use it. I started to put my items inside, and that's when I noticed the flaws. So it has to go back. I have since spoken to the sales associate, and I said I am not looking for I don't want it to be repaired. I want it to be replaced. And I will get into that in just a second. So this item, a lot of you know, I had to jump through hoops to get it. The sales associates thought I was crazy. And, it was kind of frustrating, but I felt that it paid off because I was just thinking, oh, I'll be able to get it. It'll work out. And it did. It ended up working out. I ended up being able to acquire this item. Now, the reason why it has to go back is because there is a flaw in the stripe. When it comes to Mon Mono, or actually let me just begin by saying when it comes to Louis Vuitton, for the most part, I'm not going to say that everything, for the most part, their pattern and the way that they cut the canvas, usually when it comes to the canvas pieces, they seem to be very symmetrical. They seem to be, almost like a mirror image. If the left side has it, then the right side has it, type of thing. That's not always the case when it comes to the items, but it's something that you can usually end up seeing within your collection, whether it's small leather goods or whether it's handbags. Now, it's a lot more noticeable as far as how symmetrical an item is when it comes to Mon Mono, and that's because of the stripes that they have, whether they're this way, whether they're on the side. You can always notice them. It's a little bit more detailed because of the the fact that it's being customized. So the stripes seemed kind of off when I started to inspect the item. On the very front, you can see that the stripe here starts below the stitching. And then on the back side, it goes all the way past the stitching. So I thought, that's kind of odd. I went over to my Mon Mono Speedy, and I saw that it starts below the stitching on both sides. Now, I know that some of you might be thinking that this is so incredibly trivial. Some of you might be thinking it's so petty for me to point this out. But what is what really matters to me is the fact that if I'm paying for something to be customized, I expect it to look exactly the way that it should be. You know what I mean? And like I said, I looked back at my Speedy and I saw that it was below the stitching. So I thought maybe I was crazy. Maybe I was seeing something that wasn't there. It's a new item as far as the Mini Pochette Mon Monogram. I thought maybe that's the way that it's supposed to be, but it still didn't feel right. I tried to call the boutique that I purchased it at, and I had the hardest time. I couldn't get through to the actual store. It actually went to an operator, and the operator there informed me that because of the boutique that I purchased it at, it's one of the top 5 stores in the country, that they end up having operators in place so that they can filter the phone calls. Okay. I kind of touched base with her. I told her what was going on and what I was thinking, and she said, no, that's how Mon Mono is. You know, these things are handmade. These things, this is the way that it is. I promise you it's fine. But if you want more peace of mind, you can come into the boutique. And I thought, okay, but it seemed like a very vague answer. You know, with one-on-one on the conversation that I was having, it just didn't seem like it made a whole lot of sense. You know what I mean? So I hung up, and, you know, we ended the conversation, and then I called back. The second operator that I spoke with, I told him the same thing. I had said that I had just talked to someone previously. He said that I can take pictures and I can send them to the repair specialist, and they can get back to me within a couple of days because they weren't in at the moment. And I said, all right. But at that point, I kind of suggested, I said, what if you guys did like a trial run, like a mock mini pochette on the iPad to see if that's the way that the design should be. You know, that way I have a little bit more of concrete evidence. That's really what I was looking for. I know that someone was telling me that, but I wanted to know why, to be honest, and I wanted to see it. You know, I felt that if I would have seen the picture, it would have made me feel a lot better about the item. He disregarded what I was saying. That's fine. And he said, just go ahead and submit those. And if you want more peace of mind, you can come into the boutique, you know, and you can talk to the repair specialist when he's in. I said, all right. And then, you know, we hung up, and I was still thinking, you know what, it doesn't seem right to me. It doesn't seem right. Not only that, the boutique that I purchased it at is not the boutique that I normally end up going into. So it's quite a ways away. I didn't want to have to waste gas if that's the way that it was. I didn't want to waste their time. I didn't want to waste my time. I just wanted to know, to have a little bit more peace of mind in that sense without having to go through so many hoops. You know what I mean? So I called again. This third operator that I spoke with, super, super sweet. She totally understood what I was talking about. And she even said, I don't understand why they can't just do it at the store and then just be done with it. And I thought the exact same thing. She said, let me see if I can connect you. She tried for about 15-20 minutes. I couldn't get through. And she said, to be honest, the operators don't know much about the brand. We just tried to filter the phone calls. And that, to me, I thought that was awesome. That she was being very transparent. She was being very honest. And I appreciated that because it made it a whole lot easier for me to understand. But what I didn't appreciate was the fact that the first two were just like, that's the way it should be. It is what it is. You know, these are handmade, blah, 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 making excuses without really knowing. It's almost like they were trying to tell me what I wanted to hear just to get me off the phone. So it already started, you know, it's kind of like that feeling, that intuition that you're thinking something's going to be bad. It's going to go bad. I was trying to keep my fingers crossed. So I reached out to the sales associate that I purchased it from. He finally got back to me, and he said, you know, we got your email, because I did end up sending the email that the second operator gave me. I sent it in, and the sales associate at that point, he said, you know what, we got your email. We're going to go ahead and forward it to Paris and get confirmation, and it should take about a week. Okay, and I kept thinking, all right, you know, I appreciate you wanting to get confirmation from the actual, the flagship store, which was awesome. But I just thought, is there a way that you can check it out on, you know, on the iPad? Is there a way to be able to do that? Now, I don't work for the company, so I was thinking this might be the easiest way. So just because I'm sitting there saying, maybe you should do this, maybe you should do that, doesn't necessarily mean that that's the route that the company ends up taking. I'm not here to judge how they do business or how they end up, you know, how they end up expediting what they do, or how they end up doing, you know, the steps in which they take to take care of items or to take care of things. So I can't, you know, I can't fault them for that. And he said, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'll try to figure it out, but you know, I don't think I can. All right. I didn't hear back from him within 7 or 8 hours. So then I texted him back and I said, any luck? He's all, no, we just forwarded your email and my manager's completely aware of it. Okay, it would have been nice if you would have said that, so that way I wasn't stressing out for, you know, 8 hours, but it is what it is. I know that they're super busy, so I understand that. Again, I'm still trying to stay positive. So the sales associate reaches out to me the following day, and he tells me, hey, guess what? We heard back, and the stripe is not supposed to go through the back. It's supposed to stay below the stitching. And I said, okay, I knew it. Like in my gut feeling, I knew that it wasn't right. It was not symmetrical. And he said, but don't worry, you know, we're going to go ahead and send it off for repair. And I can't, you know, I don't know how long it's going to take. There's a lot of people in front of you, and I can't guarantee that it's going to be perfect when you get it back. I don't know if it's the culmination of everything that had gone on with the inconsistencies or what it was. I responded in a very negative way. I was what you might consider to be, I was possibly a bitch, and I was just fed up. I had lost my marbles because he also said, you know, these are handmade and this and that. I am so sick and tired of hearing these are handmade. Like, that's an excuse for something to be faulty, or this is an excuse for the fact that it's made wrong. The fact of the matter is that it is a customized piece that I am paying premium over what it normally would be. Here in the United States, the mini pochette, the regular canvas mini pochette retails for $310. This was $490. But with all monogram pieces, they're always going to be a little bit more expensive because you're paying for it to be customized. So I got that aspect. But what I couldn't fathom, what I couldn't understand is the fact that you had this item for 2 weeks and it still fell through the cracks. I mean, you're supposed to pay attention to detail even more so. I understand that sometimes you have quality control with anything, like I mentioned at the beginning, but I just can't understand. I can't understand how it could fall through, you know. And on the back side, you can kind of see, it might be hard to tell on camera, but there's kind of like a clear film that they put over the mono that's on the lip of this, and it's a little bit more noticeable, and that's kind of what was the dead giveaway when I was looking it over, you know. And I ended up apologizing to the sales associate because it's not his fault. But what I didn't like is how he was so nonchalant and how he gave me just some vague answer like, oh, you know, I can't guarantee that it's going to be perfect. I can't guarantee this and I can't guarantee that. And I'm just thinking, no, it better be. It better be. I don't care if you call me a diva. I don't care what name you want to call me if I'm being ridiculous. I expect it to be perfect because I am paying that extra amount of money for that personalization, you know. And just so like la-di-da, it's not a big deal, you know. And I'm thinking, I understand that there's people in front of me that are doing, you know, are getting their items customized, but it was faulty on your behalf, not mine. So why wouldn't you make it a priority to try to rectify it as quickly as possible? You know, instead of giving me some bull story that it might take up to 8 weeks, it should have taken you the 8 weeks, so you maybe you would have paid a little bit more attention to it. You know, and like I said before, I'm not here to badmouth them. I wanted to share my experience. I wanted to share my frustration with you guys because I couldn't comprehend it. You know what I mean? And some people might think, oh my God, these are such first world problems. I get that. I understand that. This is what I choose to spend my hard-earned money on. And yes, it was faulty, and yes, it slipped through the cracks with the quality control issue, but it was more so the ridiculous customer service that I got on the back side of it and the inconsistencies that really just kind of just elevated that frustration and really elevated how negative I felt with the entire experience. You know what I mean? And I was trying to stay positive. I am a positive person. I'm a happy person. I try to see that silver lining. But when things like this happen, I can't help but feel that way. You know what I mean? And you know, I told him, I said, I don't want it to be repaired. I want it to be replaced. I haven't even used the item. It's brand new, for crying out loud, you know? And I said that because of the coating that they put on the mono, if it's repaired, it already starts to have a little bit of, it's almost like the tide's running against it already, because if you're just going to repair it, you're going to take that part off, and then it might end up causing it to peel even quicker. And the reason why, this part here might not be a big deal to some of you guys, and some of you might be thinking, it's just a small little centimeter. It's, it's nothing to get that worked up about. It's not so much that, it's more so the fact that when it comes to the mini pochette, the zipper part here will end up rubbing up on the silk screening even easier, causing it to chip, causing it to wear quicker than it normally would, because it's going to have normal wear and tear. It's going to have chips down the line. I know that. I knew that going into it, that usually monogram pieces are prone to it because of this. But I don't want it to just have, like I said, the tide running against it already right off the bat because it was an oversight on their behalf. You know what I mean? I want it to be, I am paying the amount of money for the item to be exactly the way that it should be when I order it. That's what I'm paying for. I'm not paying for, hey, maybe you'll get it, maybe not. It's the luck of the draw. Put your hand in a bag and whatever you pull out, that's what you get. No, that doesn't sit right with me. And I have had quality control issues with Louis Vuitton in the past. And I've always kind of stuck by them. And like I mentioned before, quality control is something that happens with every and any company. Some things fall through the cracks. I get that. I understand that 100%. And I've had issues with them. It's kind of been up and down, but this almost seemed like it was such a slap in the face. Like, it's not a big deal. I felt like it was really nonchalant. Like, oh, it might take 8 weeks. It's not a big deal. We'll just do this. We'll just do that. I didn't get, and I'm sorry. I didn't get, and maybe that's what I was really looking for. I was looking for someone to say, hey, I apologize. We'll make sure and make it right for you. Or maybe something to that effect. But it was just kind of like, oh, ha, ha, ha. He was so unprofessional when he went about it. And I just did not like that. You know what I mean? And I felt that it was just not important to them, and it might not be important to them because if I don't continue to shop there, someone else will, and I do love the company. I do love their items. I have pretty much based my channel on talking about Louis Vuitton and their quality, but I can't turn a blind eye to the fact that they do have quality issues. And besides having quality issues, just their customer service is falling through the cracks. I don't understand how a multi-billion-dollar company can fall so far when it comes to customer service that they're just willing to just throw it up to the wind and just say it is what it is. Someone's going to buy it no matter what. And it's disheartening to see that, because I know that a lot of us here in this community, we always, we're really excited about our brand new items. We're excited about sharing them, about talking about them, taking pictures about them on Instagram and things like that. But I also feel it's important to talk about the other side of things. Not everything's rosy, and you can't look at everything through rose-colored glasses all the time just because something is expensive. And that's why I wanted to bring this video to light, so that hopefully you don't have the same problems. I'll be the guinea pig, as I've mentioned in other videos. If something happens to any item, whether it's good or bad, I'm going to tell you. And if you're looking for the type of channel, if you're looking for the type of person that's just going to say, it's a Louis Vuitton, nothing's ever going to happen to it, it's going to be perfect, I will always hope for that, but I am not that person. I will always be transparent. I will always be honest, and I will tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. That is what I do. If you are not into hearing about the negative side of luxury goods, then I am not the channel for you. And that's okay with me, because I have to stay true to who I am, and I have to stay true to what I believe in. And I sincerely feel that customer service is such a big part of any company. I don't care if you're shopping at Target. I don't care if you're shopping at Louis Vuitton. It doesn't matter. Whether you're shopping there, whether you're working there, customer service is such a big part of any company. And it's more so the experience, besides the item that you're purchasing, is in specific these luxury goods. It's the experience that you give the person. It's the experience that they have that makes them coming back, that makes them wanting to appreciate and spend their money there. Otherwise, it's going to leave a really bad taste in their mouth. But this goes back tomorrow, and I have to ship it out. They're sending me a FedEx label so I can send it off. So now I just play the waiting game. I don't know how long it's going to take. Part of me hopes that they take a long time so that they can get it right. Another part of me doesn't even want it anymore. I just feel so conflicted. And will that have an impact as to how I view the company? Not necessarily, because not every store is going to be the same. My home store that I like to say in San Diego, they are such an amazing team. They are so fantastic. Their customer service is always right on par. And it's not fair for me to sit here and say that every Louis Vuitton will be the same. Every item will have an issue. Not at all. There are some sales associates, there are some stores that are just phenomenal when it comes to customer service. But all in all, the quality control issue is something that they really need to take hold of. They really need to take a look at that, and customer service. Both of those two. It's a happy marriage, and I feel like it's falling apart. And, you know, I'm just one person. This is my own opinion, and I'm sure I made a lot of you upset, and that's fine. But like I said, I have to stay true to who I am and what I believe in, and that's why I want to share my experience with you guys. So I wish you the best of luck if you, you know, if you got them on Monogram, and hopefully nothing happens to it. Hopefully it ends up being absolutely perfect, you know. And like I said, it was so disappointing. It was frustrating. It was disappointing, and it was just like, man, I have been rooting this entire time and hoping that everything will be perfect, but you know, you can't always, nothing's always going to come out perfect, right? All the time. You don't expect it, but some things I feel that they need to pay a little bit more attention to, especially when it comes to Monogram. So I know this might be a little bit more of a Debbie Downer type of video. Hopefully it's not. I just wanted to come on here and voice my opinion. And hopefully I was able to help you guys out. If there's ever any type of instinct that you have with your items that you feel that it might be faulty, question it. Go into the boutique, talk to the sales associate, let them know, hey, this is what I think. Am I crazy? Is it this? Is it that? I would much rather go into the boutique and get that peace of mind than to have it kind of looming over my head thinking maybe it is, maybe it isn't. You know what I mean? Get that satisfaction of knowing. We pay a lot of money for these items. A lot of money. And someone out there might say it's ridiculous, it's stupid to spend this amount of money on it, blah, blah, blah. You guys are this, you guys are that. I don't care. I work hard for my money. I choose to spend my hard-earned money on these items, and I most certainly expect to have great customer service, and I most certainly expect some items, and I'm giving them slack here, I expect some items to really just be a lot more, I expect them to be a lot more thorough with some items. I would like to say all of them because they are a luxury fashion house, but realistically, things do end up falling through the cracks. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for all the support that I got on Instagram. Again, it was my apologies if I ended up you know, just offending any one of you with that post. I was just really, really upset. But again, thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in my next one. And as always, make it a fabulous day or not, the choice is yours. Have a great day.